Black Park had a reputation. Locals said it was harmless by day, but at night, the trails shifted. Shadows lingered longer than they should. People vanished, or so the stories went. No one had a name for what haunted the park, only whispers. A faceless figure, a presence that watched, patient, waiting for anyone foolish enough to wander after dark. Tonight, a group of friends didn't believe the rumors until they set foot on the trails after sunset. The parking lot was nearly empty, save for a single rusty SUV parked under the flickering streetlight. The friends climbed out, backpacks slung over their shoulders, flashlights in hand. The air was colder than expected, carrying the damp, musty scent of the park's grass and fallen leaves. "Come on, it's just a park," one of them said, trying to sound confident. But even his own voice sounded hollow, swallowed by the towering trees that lined the main path. The trail began as a neat dirt path, bordered by worn benches and old lampposts, most of them dead. The silence was immediate. No crickets, no distant traffic. Only the sound of their own footsteps crunching on dead leaves. They joked to mask their unease, but every so often, one would glance at a shadow and freeze, convinced someone or something was standing there. As they ventured deeper, the park changed. The neat path turned overgrown, weeds curling across the edges. Rusted swings squeaked in the wind, though the air was still. An abandoned picnic table lay tipped over, graffiti smeared across it like a warning. The friends slowed, unease growing with every step. Then they heard it. A soft shuffle, like someone walking just beyond the reach of their flashlights. They called out, laughter forced and nervous, but the only response was silence. Minutes stretched into hours. The park seemed endless at night, its boundaries undefined. Every turn brought a new set of shadows. Shapes flickered at the edge of vision. A tall figure standing motionless, a shadow disappearing behind a tree. Always faceless, always just beyond clear sight. By the time they reached the abandoned playground, the darkness had taken over completely. The swings swayed gently, though no wind stirred them. The group huddled near a crumbling slide, whispering, hearts pounding. Every sound, the distant crack of a branch, the faint scuffle of leaves, made them jump. Suddenly, one of them, Lisa, froze, eyes wide. She whispered, "There! Someone's there." They shined their flashlights toward the far end of the playground. Nothing. No person. No animal. Just shadows moving as though alive. Fear began to creep in. They debated whether to turn back, but the path back seemed different, unfamiliar, twisted. It was as if the park itself had shifted, trapping them deeper in the dark. Night fell fully, thick and suffocating. Every bench, every tree, seemed to hold a hidden presence. Every sound was magnified. Footsteps echoing where none existed, whispers that weren't carried by the wind. And in the corner of the park, just beyond the range of their flashlights, a figure watched. Faceless, still, patient, waiting. The friends didn't know it yet, but the real nightmare was only beginning. The friends didn't sleep that night. They huddled together near the old playground, trying to stay within the weak glow of their flashlights. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of metal, made their hearts jump. The park was quiet, too quiet. Even the distant hum of traffic felt muted, as if the world outside had abandoned this place. By midnight, tension had settled like a heavy fog. Chris was the first to notice it, a figure moving just at the edge of their vision. Tall, faceless, standing among the trees beyond the swings. He froze, pointing shakily. "Do you see that?" Lisa followed his gaze, and her stomach knotted. "It's nothing," she whispered, though her voice trembled. "It's just a shadow." But it wasn't nothing. The figure shifted when they blinked, moving slightly closer. Always just beyond the light, always silent. It didn't run or chase, they felt its presence rather than saw it. They decided to leave. Sticking close together, flashlight scanning, they retraced their steps toward the main path. But the park was no longer familiar. Benches and trees seemed to have shifted. The dirt trail split unexpectedly, leading them into a section of the park they didn't recognize. Overgrown paths closed in from both sides, and the air grew damp and cold. A soft laughter, or maybe it was a whisper, drifted through the trees. Sarah stopped abruptly, her flashlight beam shaking. "Who's there?" she called. Silence answered, thick and heavy. Then the rustle of leaves behind them. Quick, deliberate, and almost human, but not quite. Panic set in. They ran. Flashlights bobbed wildly, illuminating broken picnic tables, toppled trash cans, the faint outline of an old restroom building long abandoned. Every turn seemed to lead them deeper, not out. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the paths. Every time they looked behind, the faceless figure was there, closer, just at the edge of light, never fully revealed. Breath came ragged. Chris stumbled over a tree root and fell hard. Scrambling up, he realized the others had already moved ahead, pulled forward by fear and instinct. When he tried to call out, his voice sounded distant, swallowed by the night. A sudden sound, a swing squeaking high into the night sky, made them all freeze. One of the friends, Mark, whispered, "It's following us." They didn't argue. They ran faster, hearts hammering, lungs burning. The main parking lot should have been near, but it never appeared. Every landmark they tried to remember, the broken fountain, the old ranger's shed, the main path sign, was gone, replaced by overgrown shrubs and twisted trees. The park had become a labyrinth, faceless, silent, and alive. And then they realized one of them was missing. Lisa turned, panic rising. "Where's Sarah?" No one answered. They called her name, voices cracking, echoing into the dark. Only silence returned, thick and oppressive. And then came the sound. Soft, deliberate footsteps, circling them, just beyond the reach of their flashlights. Slow, patient, watching, waiting. They ran blindly into a small clearing, a patch of grass surrounded by thick trees. The fog from the night pressed down, curling around their ankles. And there, standing perfectly still at the edge of the clearing, was the faceless figure. Tall, silent, almost impossibly thin. Its presence pressed against them like ice, suffocating. They tried to move, but fear held them frozen. The figure didn't advance, didn't retreat. It waited, patient, knowing that terror alone was enough to trap them. The friends huddled together, whispering, shaking, trying to convince themselves it was a trick of shadows. But the unease, the dread, the silent watchfulness, they all knew. Something in Black Park was real, and it had already chosen them. Night dragged on, the darkness deepening, wrapping the park in suffocating tension. Somewhere in the fog, Sarah's voice screamed, abruptly cut off. The others spun toward the sound, but there was nothing. Only the shadows, only the faceless presence, waiting. By dawn, exhaustion and fear had left them numb, but the terror lingered. Black Park had marked them. The forested paths, the abandoned structures, the faceless watcher. It would not let them leave unchanged. And somewhere beyond the trees, the shadow waited for the next mistake, the next sound, the next visitor foolish enough to wander after dark. By the third night in Black Park, the friends were no longer moving as a group. Fear had fractured them. Every step on the cracked asphalt of the old park roads, every rustle in the underbrush, felt amplified. The faceless presence no longer stayed at the edge of their vision. It had become the shadow in every corner, the whisper in every pause, the sensation pressing on their backs when they thought no one was behind them. Chris tried to take the lead, forcing himself to appear brave, flashlight cutting through the thick blackness. "We just keep moving. Stay together," he urged, though his voice trembled. The others nodded, but glances betrayed the growing panic. Every path they took seemed unfamiliar. Landmarks vanished. Trees and lampposts shifted subtly, leaving them lost in a park that had been familiar only hours ago. Then it happened. Sarah. She had stayed slightly behind, nervously scanning the trees, suddenly let out a piercing scream. Chris spun around, flashlight swinging, but she was gone. Only her backpack remained, abandoned at the edge of the narrow trail. Panic surged. They called her name, voices raw, but the sound was swallowed by the night. Mark suggested leaving immediately, but the group hesitated. Every